Okay, Likkutei Torah, Vaeschanan, page 22, the middle of the first column, midway down. Okay, the last thing the Alter Rebbe was explaining, that every day there's a revelation of the midah of that day in a limited form. And he says that during the week the midah, like a person works, and then Shabbos you rest, so then you get back your strength. And the last thing he's explaining was the two names Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That Havai Elokeinu means the neshamas come from a very lofty level of machshava, and they come much greater than everything else that was created with speech. And then he says, okay, but where do you have Hashem Echad? In the realm of worlds, that there's 7 heavens, earth, and four corners of the world, so that's all in Gashmis. Okay, but Havai Elokeinu is higher than that. Okay, so in middle of the first column. That's what it means, Hashem sustains life. Or K'mayim, like the expression we say in davening. Yochid Cheho Elam Melech. We say that Hashem is Yochid, which means no other existence. And then we say Cheho Elamim, the life of the world is Melech. Meaning, Shehu Yizbarech Yochid Miyuchid. Hashem is alone, there is no concept of world whatsoever. And therefore this, that Hashem sustains the world, meaning a world exists, that's only the level of Melech. Alter Rebbe explained before, in the essence of Hashem, there's no world. World begins in the level of Malchus when Hashem spoke and created the world, so to speak. So this is what we say in Baruch Shomer. Yachid, there's 2 levels. Yachid, Hashem is, there is no world in that level of Yachid. Then we say Chei Olam Melech, that the life of the world is from Malchus. B'zel ki imcha mekar chayim. Shemizbein and b'zeh shavai Elokeinu is Yachid mamish. When a person meditates that Havai Elokeinu, meaning the existence of the world, is really non-existence, hainu mashe neshama nikri yechida. This, that the neshama is called yechida, shemekabelas b'pchinas Yachid. We know that the 5th level, the essence of the neshama is called Yechida, which is the feminine of Yachid. There's the masculine Yachid, and the feminine is Yechida. Why is the essence of the neshama called Yechida? Because it's receiving from Yachid. Now the neshama is the essence of Hashem. It's a part of Hashem. So therefore it's called Yechida. By day is Bein Nazu, and therefore through this meditation, of the Hashem is really Yachid, and this, that there's a world, only exists from the lowest of levels of Hashem. You'll come to love Hashem, that meaning the Bechin is Yechid Shebenefesh. With the essence of the Neshama, you'll come to love Hashem, which is the spark that every single Jew possesses, because Yisrael alu b'machshav. In other words, what is the purpose of the meditation of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? To come to the realization that the only thing that exists in the world is Hashem. The neshama is that link into the world of the essence of Hashem, and therefore the avodah of the Jew is through meditation, to come to this level of oneness with Hashem. Become one with Hashem. What?
Can you elaborate on the Shema, the 6th word that you say, how did that process?
He's not elaborating, he's just saying that Shema Yisrael means the Jew needs to understand. And not only that, he said before, also at the beginning of Maimon, Shema means gather, Vayishama Sholas Ha'am. So you have to gather the entire person together. Together, right, the whole essence of the Jew, and to understand that Hashem Elokeinu, that this level of, like you said before, Yechudei Ilah, that the only level of Hashem, the only thing that exists is really Hashem, and that is even in Hashem Echad, even at the level of God that creates the worlds. What is it really? Not only Echad, but really Yachid. That the only thing that exists is Hashem. Well then, this is what Moshe Rabbeinu says. Vanei sheba goy mul beis pa'od. Hashem, the Yidden settled in Gai opposite beis pa'od. She's his and our Mishnah Torah. When the Moshe Rabbeinu is warning the Jews in Devarim, Amar sheyamul beis pa'od. It was the opposite of beis pa'od. What do you mean the opposite of beis pa'od? Pa'od was an idol worshipping. Was an idol. Pa'od Shema ve'dezada. Sharot laham shechayis mumayla lamayim tachtenim shutaynigo elamazep. When Hashem Moshe Rabbeinu was complaining to the Jews, you wanted to bring this level of godliness into idol worshipping. You settled to bring this level of Yachid, Mayim al Yonim, the higher waters, which represent spiritual pleasure. You wanted to bring it down into pleasures of this world. And therefore, it's similar to the concept of Ben Seder Umered. The rebellious son, the pasuk says, what was his sin? Zeilel v'sevei, a fresser, a guzzler. It means he was totally into worldly things. Therefore, they had to cleanse themselves. What they were doing is try the opposite, bringing Am Shechapselis. Okay, L'chein here's the information Rabbeinu said to them. We settled in the valley opposite beis pa'od, but Gai is shiftless v'achno bittul elav yisborech, that represents the bittul to Hashem, shumul v'heper beis pa'od, which is the opposite of idol worshipping. This beis pa'od was a very unique idol. One of the ways of worshiping it is they used to urinate in front of it. That was the way of serving that God. So he says, Kichol ish asher holach achrei bal pa'od, because any Jew that followed that Avodah Zarah, Hishmi de Hashem alakacha, Hashem destroyed, and this is all the sequence of the psukim. Shenasim and klohoyu, they became nothing. Ava atam adveikem Hashem alakechem chaim kol chamayim. So this is what Moshe Rabbeinu is saying. He's complaining to the Jews. You wanted to bring down this kedusha, the pleasures of godliness, and you wanted to take, instead of pleasures of godliness, you wanted to take the pleasures of worldly things. That's what they wanted to accomplish. So Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, you should know, all those people don't exist anymore. But you people that are clinging to Hashem, Chayim Kol Chamayim, you're alive today. Because you're connected to Hashem. So what's he saying over here? The whole meditation of Shema is to be able to take the realization that to take the lower waters, which represents the level of worldly pleasures, and infuse them with godly pleasures. In other words, that the whole life of the Jew should be only godly pleasures and no pleasures whatsoever from worldly things.
But how do you actually have
Through meditation of Hashem
pleasures and infuse the worldly pleasure with godly pleasure?
No, that means that what it means, human pleasures are natural. You don't have to. How do I come to human pleasures? He says a person needs to realize that their pleasures, the attribute of pleasure, could be one of two ways. You can love Hashem or you can love world. And as Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, they're contradictory. The more you love Hashem, the less you love world. The more you love world, the less you love Hashem. That's what the Alter Rebbe, the battle of what the definition of a tzaddik. So the Alter Rebbe is saying that the person has to take this attribute of pleasure, and instead of having pleasure of worldly things, he has a pleasure of godly things. Torah, mitzvahs, I enjoy davening and learning, I can enjoy food.
One can be enjoying the bodily pleasure and thinking about God and thanking God for it.
But it doesn't, no, it gets in the way. It contradicts it. I'll give you another simple example, a little
Oh my God.
coarse example. A guy is married and he loves his wife, but he loves another woman. He said, why can't I love both? The answer is, that other woman is adultery. Yeah, but I'm saying, I'm paraphrasing this concept. A guy says, why can't I love both together? Why can't I love world and at the same time love Hashem? Hashem said, we're married to Hashem. And the guy says, you know what? Yeah, I love you, God, but I also love somebody else. You can't, it's a contradiction.
One wife manifests godliness, and one manifests worldliness.
Yeah, but you can't love two wives at the same time. No, not two wives.
Children at the same time.
Children is not the mashal of Hashem and the Yid.
If you love apple, you can't love Jew.
Because they're not opposite. Because they're not. Hello, they're not opposites. Apples and oranges are not opposites. God, that's our problem. We think there's no difference. It's not a country. But Hashem and world are opposites. That's what Chassidus comes along and teaches us. World and godliness are two opposites. If you love world, you cannot love Hashem. And if you love Hashem, you cannot love world. And the more you love Hashem, the less you love world. And the more you love world, the less you love Hashem. That's the reality. Because they're
appreciate the world, the more you recognize God.
No. Appreciating world could be done in one of two ways. It's God's vast beauty and greatness, that every blade of grass, every kernel of sand is divine providence, and Hashem is giving that existence and life, and without it, it wouldn't exist. And everything Hashem created was for a purpose. That means the fact there are X amount of drops of water in the ocean. Yeah? Why is there not one drop less or more? And you realize Hashem created the exact amount of water because that's part of the master plan of the whole universe and everything else. So yeah, if that's the analyzation that you're having, or you say, whoa, it's beautiful for me, it may... Or let's speak eating. Eating is the simplest example. People enjoy eating, okay? They don't enjoy learning and davening with the same pleasure that they have for eating. Huh? But it's contradictory. When Hillel went to eat, it's a Gemara, but Alter Rebbe quotes it in Tanya, that Hillel went to eat. He said, I'm going to do Goyim Chesed and Maluva. He said, no, I have no choice. I have to do a favor to the embarrassed one, the disgusting one. So by Hillel, he's eating was because he has to eat. Tzaddik oichel l'seva nafshi, the pasuk says. A tzaddik eats to fill the nefesh, not the body. A tzaddik eats because he needs the neshama in the body, and this is what Hashem wants. In order to keep the neshama in the body, the fact is you have to eat. And the eating is only to keep the neshama in the body to serve Hashem.
So physical things you eat, but you don't focus on pleasure.
Correct.
Rabbi, I can eat, enjoy, and thank truly, genuinely.
And therefore, again, we are not on the level. We are not. If we dream we are, we're crazy. We're not on the level of not enjoying food. But again, the question is, what is the purpose of your eating? Is it really because this is what I like, and you have to dafka this, and if it's not exactly this, like I said, the Frierdiker Rebbe was taught when he was a little boy, what he served is what you eat. Because you're eating to live. So
if you enjoy hot sauce with your food, is that a problem? I'm serious.
on our level, that should be our worst issue. That should be the worst issue. Rabbi Masmid, the famous Beinani of Tanya, the Chassid Rebbe Vaeschanan and Frierdiker Rebbe, he came to America for a visit. This guy was a Beinani of Tanya, okay? He came to America for a visit, and he wrote a letter back to Europe to his friends, speaking how coarse, how crass the American people, listen, he says, they eat bread and butter. He says, they have to smear the butter on the bread. They can't eat bread and butter. They have to die. No, he was bemoaning the lowness of the Jews in America, that they had to smear the bread on the butter. In Russia, he ate bread, he had to eat bread and butter. It's healthy. He ate bread, he ate butter. Can you imagine his problems? I mean, that's our problems. We smear the bread, the cream cheese on the bread instead of just eating it separate.
So what Hashem gave us
the pleasure, because Chassidus explains, if we didn't enjoy it, then we wouldn't eat it. And if we wouldn't eat it, we wouldn't elevate all the sparks of Kedusha.
Exactly.
But again, what is the purpose of the person's eating it? It's not for the bread, the butter to be on the bread. What? He said, what is this? They waste time in the eating,
One can say that it's really negating God's.
By the way, we are not on that level, obviously. But we should know, what we need to know is that we're not as great as we think we are. That's what we're saying. That's what Alter Rebbe is saying.
We're slave to the food.
We are slave to food. Yes, we are slave to food.
And the pleasures of this world.
And the simple thing is like this. Like I said the other day, look what happens at a Kiddush. People attack food as if they haven't eaten for 10 years. Not only here, by the way, in all shows. 1 minute. They attack food. And if a guy doesn't have exactly the thing at the time, you could survive, you survive. You don't make a big tzimis. You don't make a big deal about food. You have to, I need the food dafka with the plate heated in the oven before I get the steak. And you need to heat the plate. I mean, come on.
It's negation of God's pleasures. It's not right.
No, because God is, that's what Hashem is saying.
So why did all that?
Right, what Hashem is saying, you shouldn't have the pleasure from that stuff. You should have the pleasure from davening and learning.
So why did he give all those pleasures?
Because we need to elevate the food. And if we wouldn't have a desire for food, we wouldn't have a...
I mean, you still have to get hungry.
You get hungry. But again, are you eating to live? Or are you living to eat? In other words, you ever walk into an elevator and people are talking where they're eating, what they ate, where they're going? I mean, that's what they're... Okay. No, that's not fine. That's not... Because your whole focus is on the eating. You eat because you need to eat. A person that walks discussing, sometimes you hear people discussing their restaurants where they ate, and oh my God, they go on. You know what I mean? That's not what Torah wants from a Jew. You eat. To talk about, whoa, and this was good, and that was good, and this. Come on, I mean, again, this should be our worst Aveda.
But it's not a sin. Is it a sin?
It is. You're transgressing Kedeshim to you. According to Alter Rebbe in Tanya, now that when you eat the food for the wrong purposes, you lower it, the food, instead of elevating it to Kedusha, you lower it into Sholshim Satzmeis. That even when you do tshuva, you still have to have Chibad HaKeva, Kafakeli, or the additional punishment. Because there's still a mark from it. One second. In other words, what Alter Rebbe is saying over here, in a practical level, I'm not saying we shouldn't, we're not on the level of not enjoying the food. Okay? When the Alter Rebbe once said, Rabbi and Kalina as a guest, yeah, and all the women were excited, and I don't remember which one it was. And they all gave out jobs in the kitchen, for, in the cooking. But nobody gave the job of putting in the salt. So each of the women nobody did. So each woman put salt into the cholent, let's say. And then the Alter Rebbe served the food. He started to eat. And Rabbi Shema Kalina, or which one of the Kalinas it was, couldn't eat the food. He tasted, he couldn't eat it. So the Alter Rebbe turns to him and says, what's the problem? Is not enough salt? And the Alter Rebbe put more salt into it. So he says to the Alter Rebbe, so the Alter Rebbe said one of the first things he learned when he came to Mizrich is not to taste the food that he eats. He eats. He didn't know salt, yes salt, no salt. The Rebbe used to, before the Rebbe's heart attack, the Rebbe, at least upstairs what they saw, when the Rebbe would serve fish, the Rebbe would put a thick layer of salt on the fish.
Just the fish then, nothing else.
Only the fish. Thick layer of salt on the fish. And one intelligent chassid, so to speak, asked the Rebbe, why you put so much salt on it? So the Rebbe smiles and says it tastes better. Which is a stupid question gets a foolish question gets a foolish answer. Yes, like an idiot, I'm answering you. You know what I mean? It's
secret.